You know what, Sam?
What?
The next time they hear from us, it's the home opener day.
Yes, it is. All right, we're back with another episode of the Caniac Report, and it is me back as I took a brief time the last episode of not being there. It was Sam, it was you and Brandon, and we enjoyed Brandon coming on. But yeah, Friday is the big day, the start of the season, and Sam, we're doing something big that day, aren't we?
Yes, we're going to have our first live stream to talk about the Hurricanes, the home opener. We've got some guests lined up. It's going to be a fun day. It's probably going to be a longer thing. So hop in and out as you all see you fit. If you just want to come in, we'll probably do it for, I don't know, Sam, maybe an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours kind of thing. We'll just be talking to a bunch of people about hockey. It's going to be real fun. A lot of our friends, Brandon from the Warning Take will be there. Um, and we're going to invite some other folks as well. Uh, and it's going to be a really fun time. We plan on inviting our good friends from Caniac Sessions to join us as well. It's going to be a really great time.
Yes, and we already have other guests too. It's going to be fun. It's going to start at 2:30, right, Sam?
I
On
think 2:30
YouTube.
is a tentative time.
Yes. So here's a little brief notice for you guys who really do listen to us. There's not going to be an episode coming out like right when you wake up because that live stream that we're having Friday is going to be our episode. So tune in 2:30 on YouTube, and once the live stream is done, I will put that on the traditional podcast side of things up. So you'll be able to listen to it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. So it's going to be fun though. Lots of guests. I am really ready for the start of the
Yes.
regular season, Sam. And
We are doing our best to make it a star studded cast that'll join us in the hockey world. Familiar names that have been on the show before will hopefully be joining us. So it's going to be a fun time.
yes, and if you don't follow us on our social media, I advise that you do because I will be promoting that live stream as we get closer to the day. So I'll be putting our YouTube channel up so you guys know where to go. Obviously, if you just go to YouTube, you just type in the Caniac Report, it'll be the first thing you find. So
Yes.
it's going to be fun. It's going to be fantastic. And another thing too, I that might be it for just podcast stuff.
SeatGeek, Sam.
Oh yeah, there is SeatGeek, but this is going to be our kind of our last SeatGeek promo here because we have a new sponsor coming up. I can't say who, but we're going to be pausing after this episode because of another sponsor. That's pretty much it.
Well, Sam, before that happens, they should take advantage of our promo code. Use promo code Caniac Report on your first purchase, and you will get $20 off your first purchase on SeatGeek. The home opener, Sam, is this Friday. The loudest house in the National Hockey League will be rocking. You don't want to miss it. Use our promo code. Go watch, enjoy, have fun. It'll be a great atmosphere, great game. The infamous Jay Gensel will return wearing the Tampa Bay Lightning jersey. You don't want to miss booing him, so make sure you use our promo code and make sure you're at the game.
Yes, definitely. It really is a great deal. Use it while it lasts. Now we're going to shift to the league wide news stuff, Sam. A big deal came out this morning. Swayman and Boston finally came to an agreement, Sam. This has kind of been in on the front cover of every NHL news that you see out there. Swayman and Boston at a
Yep.
standoff. Well, it finally got done. Swayman signs an 8-year, $8.25 million contract, Sam. Not bad. I think from what I heard, Swayman wanted around 9 and Boston wanted around 8. So I think Boston kind of won this deal, I would think.
They did, but also to be fair, teams in general, I bet they let him go talk to the market. Um, Teams in general, after Carey Price, after Bobrovsky, don't want to be paying the kind of money Jeremy Swayman was asking for goaltenders for that long of term. It's just come back to bite so many teams when they lock a goalie up for so long.
Florida did that with Bobrovsky.
They did, and for most of they won a Stanley Cup, so they're going to tell you it's worth it. But other teams have done
Yep.
it, and it might not have worked out so well, like it has in Florida. Uh, I mean, look at Carolina. We didn't even do 8 years, but we did 4 with Scott Darling, and that blew up in our faces. So teams are just overly cautious about high dollar long term deals for goaltenders because there's been so many misses. And Jeremy Swayman has not been proven as the de facto starter yet. He hasn't. It's been 1A, 1B. This is the year he is the guy. So I think that is a very high deal.
It puts a lot of pressure on him with that contract.
It does. And we'll see if he can actually carry a team or not. I think that's the question, the only question there, because he's been a solid goalie. So we'll just see what happens.
Yep. And I think this contract, honestly, is going to raise some questions for some Rangers fans because we know Shesterkin is going to be due a big payday after this year. You kind of start to wonder if the Swayman contract is going to affect Shesterkin's contract in any shape or form. I think wasn't the rumor, Sam, that Shesterkin wanted like 12 something $million?
Shesterkin at least has proven he can be the starter. He might get shaken a little bit, but he's been the guy. He starts a majority of the games for them.
He might get Bobrovsky type of money. We'll see how that goes. But the Swayman deal definitely has some questions on other goaltenders of sure, but we'll see how that plays out. And speaking of goalies, Sam, San Jose did something that I was just a little bit surprised about, in the fact that they sent Askarov to the AHL. I do think he is going to play some NHL games, though. My guess is that they're trying to slowly develop him.
Well, Askarov wanted to play in the NHL this year, so I don't know how he's going to feel about that. My guess is he doesn't stay in the American Hockey League very long. He'll probably come up into the NHL relatively shortly into the season, especially if the season starts to go sideways for the Sharks, which is the most likely outcome there, because San Jose is just not very good. But it's just a matter of we'll see kind of what happens here for Askarov. But I expect him to play in the NHL this season, several games at the very least.
Yes, definitely. I think he will get some NHL time. It's just a matter of when, not if, in my opinion, on him. And another thing, too, is the Utah Hockey Club made an announcement of, to me, this was the best choice of all the players. They named their captain, and that was Clayton Keller. Obvious choice. I was happy that he got the captaincy, Sam.
I agree. He is the best player on that roster. He's been there for a long time. He's earned the captaincy, right? He's got the long-term deal. He's going to be there for a while. I'm happy for him. I really like the player, and I like the decision there.
Yes, I definitely do. And that's pretty much it for, I think, league-wide news. And Sam, let's get to some Hurricane stuff. And I actually forgot to put this in the show notes for the previous episode with Sam and Brandon. Again, I was out for personal reasons, which is why you guys just saw Sam and Brandon. But a new hashtag that the Hurricanes have done, Sam. Raise up.
Yes. Very true.
Aren't you very passionate about that hashtag?
I like it better than Cause Chaos. I mean, come on, Cause Chaos was.
You said you like it better than Cause.
Yeah, Cause Chaos.
Oh, so you do like it better than Cause Chaos?
Yeah, Cause Chaos was just bad, and I'm sorry for looking down at my phone, folks. I'm really just looking to make sure that there hasn't been any big roster moves.
Yeah, because we are recording this pretty early in the day, so we just want to be sure. And listen, if this episode is already out and Carolina's already sent a few players down, that's fine. Heck, we might cover that with a guest on Friday for the live stream. You never know.
Yeah.
We probably will. So don't worry, we will discuss it. In fact,
Yeah,
I
because
think that would be a good thing. Go ahead,
we will
Sam.
have
Sorry.
opinions
Oh, I know you
on
will.
roster decisions. Uh, but the other big news is Skylar Brendamore got a contract.
Yes, that is big news. Honestly, I think that's kind of one of the worst kept secrets. To be honest, we knew he was going to get a contract with the Hurricanes,
Yeah,
but obviously, I think honestly, if you look at their depth players, a lot of these players that they have signed, especially for Chicago, are wingers, and he's a center. So to me, that makes a little bit of sense. You need some center depth in Chicago, and that's to me all Brendan Moore might be. To be honest, I don't think he makes the NHL. I think he's 25 years old, uh, if I'm not mistaken. But Sam, there is a lot of options when it comes to players getting signed. And we'll talk about one of them as we recap the two games at the end of uh, the
yeah,
last half of our episode. But
yeah,
I mean,
and
good for him.
yeah, good for Skylar Brendamore. Keeping the Brendamores together is pretty cool. Um, I mean, I liked a lot of the guys that we had on PTOs.
Yeah.
Or specifically two of them, Skylar Brendamore and Sam Gagne, who I'm assuming is who we're going to talk about.
Yes.
Um,
Exactly. We are.
uh, it's been a good preseason. A lot of guys have had some good camps who probably aren't going to get contracts with us, but it's been good to see these players, especially some of these guys that I've watched kind of growing up. I know who Sam Gagne is. I might be one of the only people who knew who Sam Gagne was when we signed him. I liked, or we gave him the PTO. But it's good to see some of these veteran options taking an opportunity and feel like they can still play. And around the league, I feel like they've done that and have proven that a lot of them have proven they can still play. And just because they had a PTO in Carolina doesn't mean they sign here. They can go sign somewhere else. I think that happened last year. I think we had a couple of PTOs and they signed around the league. So just because it's a PTO does not mean we are obligated to give them a contract. We gave them an opportunity to play, and they could go somewhere else. Rocco Grimaldi, Sam Gagne, Skylar Brendamore are three that I can, in my mind, know that we did PTOs for, and we'll just see what happens in the decision-making process.
Yes, definitely. And another thing too, Sam, with the home opener being this Friday, I thought it was fun to kind of add this in the show notes. Well, maybe sort of depends how you handle it, but the game is going to be on national TV this Friday,
Oh,
so we'll see
okay.
how that goes.
I
I
mean, I
mean,
think
we go ahead.
having it on, I think it shows Carolina's irrelevant to hockey club, right? Our home
Yep,
opener
they
getting
are.
broadcasted on national TV on a weekend on a Friday night, I think is a big deal, whether you like the broadcast or not. And if you don't like the broadcast and you live in Raleigh, you should be at the game. Go to the game. Don't listen to the broadcast. Go to the game. It's going to be a heck of a night, and I love that it's doing it this way. Sorry, I had to sneeze. My bad. But it's going to be a great, 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 great game. And I don't like the broadcast crew for a lot of I don't like a lot of the broadcast national crews, but it's a good recognition of this group and of this team and where we've come. Right, 10 years ago, our home opener wouldn't have been a national game. It just wouldn't have.
No, it wouldn't.
And now it is, and that's just awesome.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I remember during that time, Sam, where we were really kind of looking forward to the national game because we only have one game for the whole year that was nationally televised. So now we have like what several now ever
Yeah, I
since
think it was
Dundon
like
took over.
7 or 8, right?
Yeah, 7 or 8. So that's good. Obviously, uh, the nationally televised commentators might be left to be desired in a few, but
Mm.
I think it shows just how great broadcasters we have in Trip Tracy, Mike Maniscalco, Hannah Yates. So
Yeah, Shane
great
Willis.
group.
There's a lot of good
Shane
group,
Willis. Yep.
a good group in Carolina. We've always been fortunate enough to have a good group. Going back to John Forsland, Trip Tracy, Chuck Caton. So Carolina has a history of having a good crew. call the games, and Hurricanes fans love it.
Yes, definitely. And somehow, Trip Tracy, if you're actually somehow listening to this, we'd love to have you on the on an episode soon. I know Sam would be like huge Caniac for the half of the time, but I know Sam. I love Trip Tracy too. I do, but I
Trip
know
Tracy
Sam
is the original huge Caniac.
He is. And I've learned that there have been a lot of huge Caniacs that he has pointed out. And
like Abe Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln. I did not know he was a huge Caniac, Sam. Can you believe that?
Huge Caniac. John Wilkes Booth, huge Rangers fan.
Oh, man. Let's not go there, Sam. Oh, man. Okay, I believe that is pretty much it for Hurricanes news. Oh, one thing I will mention is Scott Morrow played the last 2 preseason games, so I think that's good.
Yeah,
but
he was
we will
hurt.
get to. Yeah, he was hurt, but he played the last 2, and we will get to those games. But before we do, let's get to a couple of our sponsors. The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 24-25 season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I remember when I was young, I loved to learn to play guitar. As I got older, though, that time was starting to diminish. Then I realized that one of the pros to therapy is that it can help reconnect to the hobbies, like playing the guitar, I had as a child. Therapy is very useful because there is always someone there to listen to you regardless of what season of life you are in. It's very convenient because it can be flexible and suitable to your schedule. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. Alrighty, Sam. We're going to be wrapping up the last 2 preseason games of 2024. The first game, Sam, well, we won both. I was a bit surprised on the later one that we'll get to. But the Hurricanes taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning at home.
Yep.
And to me, this was a game that was a little bit telling. I noticed both you and Brandon kind of pointed out the rosters for that game. But Jackson Blake and Scott Morrow. Now, Scott Morrow playing isn't as much as a surprise for me than Jackson Blake, considering he has been hurt, and Brandon Moore obviously wants him to get some game action. But that's Jackson Blake. Very interesting.
I think it's telling that Jackson Blake right now is probably had a very, very good camp. Would be curious to see. Well, it will be curious to see what happens, and I look forward to talking to our guests on Friday about the roster decisions, because as of now, there have not been decided yet. But I think it's telling that he played with the NHL. I think he's a really good player. I think he's proven to be a really good player. He's had a very good camp. I think if you're ranking them right now, it's probably Jackson Blake having the best camp of the 4 guys we talked about at the start. And I think that showed the fact that he got a game like that. So it's Jackson Blake, probably then Felix Lankersorum, and then Gleb Trikazov and Bradley Nadeau probably tied. Trikazov didn't get the looks I think he was owed.
Uh-oh. Did you
And
break
should have
up?
been given over the players like Scarlett. Did you hear me?
You were breaking up a bit.
All I was saying is I felt like Trikazov didn't get the fair shake that like some of the other rookies did. I believe he should have been given a better look than Josiah Slavin, Skylar Brindamore. Those players don't have a need, or Trikazov adds a need there to the group. So I don't understand that decision at all, to be frank with you. But I think it's important to have a look at these guys, and I think we got a really good look at these guys, and all four of them are promising. All four of them are going to be high-end players on this team.
Yes, they are. I think they are going to be very good. I love the promising of all these prospects doing very well, and obviously we got to see the NHL roster against Tampa. It was a very low scoring event. I mean, I think the biggest reason why is because you had Vasilevsky against Kochetkov, so it's Russian versus Russian. Probably going to be a low scoring game anyways, but we were able to come out on top. One thing I really noticed, Sam, in that game was how well I thought the KK line played, and if they can play very good, now I'm not saying like the Aho line did bad, but I mean, if the KK line does good, I think that's kind of a little bit more important just because we know Aho is very gifted. We know Jarvis can take another big step. They're just more, I think, more there on the first line than the second line because you have that mystery with KK. You don't know if Natchez is going to have somewhat of a bounce back season. But what do you think of the lines?
I thought it was good. I love the KK line the most. I thought it was very important for him to get on the score sheet. I'm feeling good about KK going into the season. Something I know a lot of fans were worried about, but I think the games he's played in, he's looked good. I have really had no complaints about him in general. I thought he's been physical. I think he's been solid. I'm thoroughly excited about KK this season.
I have tempered expectations with KK. But again, it's preseason. I don't think he's looked bad in any means. Mm-hmm. I do think he's looked good, but I can also say they're preseason games because they have been. So we'll see how he does in the regular season because that's the true test is regular season performance, not preseason. We'll see how that goes. And I mean, Kochetkov, I mean, he didn't have to face a lot of shots because Carolina's really honing in on Tampa. I think he only faced like 17 shots, but quite a few of them, Sam, I think if you remember, were pretty good, high-quality shots that he stopped.
Yeah, no, I think Kochetkov and Anderson both look decent. I think Kochetkov looked better than Freddie in the preseason. So on opening night, I give that game to Kochetkov. But I think they both. I think we can feel comfortable in this moment going into the season with those two. But I do believe it is time for Kochetkov to be handed the starter's crease, and I give him game one.
Oh yes, I would too. I'd be tolerant if it was what Brindamore did toward the end of last season, where he was flipping them. But eventually, I think for Kochetkov's development, he's going to have to play him in a string of games, especially if Anderson gets hurt.
And I think starting the home opener is the first step in being like, you are the guy now. So I give him the home opener. I really do. I give him the home opener and give Freddie the back because it's back to back. So they're both playing this weekend. I give Kochetkov the home game and I give Freddie the away game. And then I give Kochetkov the next game, which is another home game. And then I give Kochetkov that following game, and then maybe you throw Freddie in. But we're going on a long road trip. I want to see Kochetkov play more of those games than Anderson. I think it's a 6-game road trip. I want to see Kochetkov play 4 of them.
Yes, I do
Unless he
too.
is just bombing out, then yeah, you throw Freddie in. But I want to see Kochetkov be thrown to the fire a little bit.
Yes, and even though we have seen Kochetkov bombing it out before, I think if he does do that again this season, and how long he keeps doing it, you might have a goaltending problem. Even if you have Spencer Martin down in the minor, you might.
Sure. Sure. Well, yeah. Well, Spencer Martin, wasn't that just a one-term deal, 1 year deal? Anyway,
Yeah, it was.
so you got to make a decision anyway. So there's going to be a lot of decisions this offseason. One, you have Kochetkov under contract next year, so that's important. It's really just a matter of a backup. I don't expect Anderson to be back next year, but
No, I don't either.
we'll see what happens because you can get a goaltender. You'll want to get a backup. If Kochetkov can prove to be the guy this year, you go get yourself a backup. If he can't be the guy, you got to explore the market and see what's out there.
Yes, definitely. And this game went into overtime, so we
Yep.
get to experience some 3-on-3 action.
Yep.
And it is the Ghost that
Yes.
scores from a pretty good pass from Netchus. I believe it was on a 2-on-1 chance, and Gostisbehere was able to get it through the legs of I believe it was Vasilevsky.
It was.
Did he play the whole game?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, he did. Good for Gostisbehere. I think that's going to be one proving that will prove to be a very good signing for us. Was that a 2-year deal?
3-year deal.
3-year deal for Gostisbehere.
And 5 years for Walker.
So look, you now have Chatfield, Slavin, and Walker, Morrow, Nikishin. Your defense is looking to be very nice. Very
Yes,
nice.
it is.
And then next season, your defense. I mean, it's just Gostisbehere being on the roster. You're going to have. I mean, just next year alone, you're going to have Slavin, Chatfield, or Slavin, Morrow, Chatfield, Nikishin, Gostisbehere, Walker. You have to spend next to no money on your blue line next year, right? You just have to sign Nikishin. That's it. That is all you have to do for your blue line. If you want to bring in a couple depth guys, send them to Chicago, go for that. If not, you have Legault, who I think will be a solid guy, depth guy on the blue line as well. So Ty Smith, again, you have to
Ronan Seeley.
Yeah, you have to spend minimal money on your blue line next year. Right, this year you spent a lot on it. Next year you're not, and I think we're at $20+ million in cap space next year.
Yeah, we're gonna have over 20 million. I think we have like $24 million
with minimal high-end assets to have to deal with. I think we have actually no high-end assets to deal with, right? So you need to sign a backup, and then you can concentrate on the weakest part of the roster, which is the forward group. So then you can go in and try and make a big splash in free agency at the trade market. You're going to have the cap to get it done, and you're going to have some of the capital to make the deal work as well. So next year, the Hurricanes are in a great spot. I don't believe we are a contender this year. I said that before. I think you agree with me. We are a playoff team. We are a high-end playoff team, but we are not a contender. And what I believe is going to happen is next season, Nikishin makes you a contender. He's that good. He's being compared to Cale Makar. If he is a 2/3 as good as Makar, we are in such a good way.
Oh yeah.
And all you got to do then is just find a really solid goal scorer and offer them a lot of money, which you will be able to do because you're going to have the money because you have your core locked up for a long time. Slavin's locked up. Aho's locked up. Jars is locked up. Svech is locked up. So you have your top end guys locked up. And then you'll just have to decide at that point what to do with Natchez. But you're in a really good situation. I think Carolina is in one of the better situations around the league. And I think that's important.
Another thing too, Sam, that I thought was pretty good is Scott Morrow played a pretty good game, I thought, against Tampa.
Again, we know Scott Morrow's not playing in the NHL this year. But we've talked about does Scott Morrow, is he capable of making the jump? And not only do I think this game showed that, I think his ability to play last game showed that. He took a couple bad penalties, absolutely. But I do believe he joined the rush a lot, and we won a game against an NHL roster when what we had on the ice was not an NHL roster.
No,
Scott
let's go
Morrow's.
ahead and get to that
Yeah,
Nashville game.
yeah, no, but I think just final words on Morrow. He's looked very good. I think a whole year playing in Chicago as probably the top guy in Chicago on the blue line is going to be world of good for him. He's going to be able to come in and play with Slavin, I feel like, next season. And I think these 2 games have shown that.
I completely agree. When I saw Morrow play, I was like, Slavin, he's going to be your future pair. Just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait. But that Nashville game, Sam. Now, granted, I only saw the first period because I was hanging out with my parents after that. But the first period, I mean, we kind of tempered our expectations a little bit that
Yep.
game because we knew it was all prospects playing against Nashville on the last preseason game, and Nashville once again playing their NHL roster. I was not expecting us to win, and especially after that first period, because that first period to me was like we are taking way too many penalties.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it was a game where we were both like, if we lose, one, it's preseason, so it doesn't matter. This is really just an opportunity for our young players to get another look. Trikazov, I thought, had a really good game. Morrow took some bad penalties in that first period. That was like, oh, you can't do that, buddy. But he's young, and those are things, that he will learn, and he will grow out of his game. And even with those 2 bad penalties, he looked good that period. He had some offensive opportunities. He deked the puck really well. He's a good puck-moving defenseman, which is what you want with a guy like Slavin.
Yes, definitely. And speaking of Slavin, the first Hurricanes goal was Josiah Slavin from Robinson and Robidas. Again, I did see all the goals because Walt Ruff, thank you. He posts them on almost all of his tweets. Nice goal there. Really, really nice goal. I believe it was a good pass. I believe it was a pass from Robinson, but pretty good. And then you have Bradley Nadeau scoring from Morrow and Sam Gagne.
Gagne. Yep, don't pronounce the G. Sam, yeah, and just like we talked about, Sam Gagne had a really good camp. He is a fast guy. He's got some offensive talent to him. Really good player. I wish we could sign him. I think he makes more sense than Jost and Robinson personally. But I hope he gets a contract, whether it's with us or somewhere else, because I think he earned one this preseason.
Yeah, I really do. He played really good. I believe he got, 3 points? I believe.
It was 2 or 3. Yeah, Robinson also had 3. Look, I love Gagne. I think he had a heck of a game and a really good preseason. Hasn't aged a day is the way he played this preseason.
No, he hasn't. And another player that I've been impressed we've actually signed him, a depth guy, Robinson. I think he's looked good. It's going to be tough on Brendan Moore, but I truly think when playing with Jack Drury, because it's going to be who's going to be playing with him, I think he's probably going to do like the best of both worlds. One depth guy I think is probably going to be Robinson, is my hunch, and then you're going to have Jackson Blake on the other side with Jack Drury.
I hope that's the decision they make.
Well, I know we talk maybe possibly 2 prospects making it, or would you rather have that or just one?
I would.
You think that'd be better?
I would rather waive Jost and Robinson because I think it's more beneficial to have Unger Sorum and Blake play than it is to have Robinson. Robinson and Jost are on 1-year deals each.
I believe so. I can look it up real quick. In fact, I have Puckpedia up.
I don't see the benefit they provide other
Yes.
than a 1-year deal, other than 1-year fillers. I mean, I don't know. I mean, theoretically, you would think that a Drury, Blake, and Unger Sorum line should abuse other teams' fourth lines, but I don't know if that's the direction they go. I would be surprised. I think it's also beneficial at the same time for Ungersorm and Nadeau and Trikazov to play top line minutes in the American Hockey League. That can't hurt them. But I don't know. I feel like it can just. I feel like we might regret not allowing there to be more prospects on this roster as well. So I don't know. We'll see.
So I think when it comes to Brind'Amour, I think Jackson Blake is going to make the team. He has had an incredible camp, and I think you would agree too. Out of all the prospects, he's been playing the best. Like, there's more desperation in his game. He's a fast player. He has very good playmaking abilities. I mean, I love the guy.
You're not wrong. He's looked very good. He's been the best player. Again, my only complaint with anything is Trikazov didn't get a fair look. But with what we saw, yeah, it's Jackson Blake. I think he came into camp kind of like Seth Jarvis did, and it's like, I'm not going to make this easy on you.
Yes, and I would say with Trikazov, like, as much as potential there is with him, I don't think he's on the same. There's more of an uphill battle for him than there is with Ungersorm or Blake, because he has more competition against them compared to Blake and going up against Ungersorm and Trikazov. Sure. You know what I mean there?
Sure, but why didn't he play more games than Slavin or Brind'Amour?
Now that I do agree. I do.
So, like I said, he wasn't given a fair chance. That's my argument with Trikazov. He had he was the best player in the rookie showcase, and he wasn't given any fair opportunity.
Yeah, well, we'll see how Trikazov does. Listen, I think we all know he was probably going to be sent down anyways, even with probably increased ice time. But I do think we see one prospect.
Well, I think it'll be Trikazov, Nadeau, and Ungersorm, probably the first line in Chicago.
Yes, and I think with Ungersorm too, Sam, I think the reason why he probably isn't going to make it is that he needs to get better in the face-off circle, because I think Brind'Amour wants him to play center.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like they want him to be the center player. So, I mean, hey, if he can do it, make it happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I even had an episode on looking at our prospects of me just delving into it, and one weakness when it comes to our prospect pool, Sam, is our center depth. Like, it's just not good compared to the wings. So if Ungersorm can be a good center, then that is going to help patch up that weakness we have with the center core there. Because, again, on the wing, we're really good with Nadeau, Trikazov. I understand we have another possible Russian prospect that's been doing really well, in Nikita Artemov, I believe, that in Russia. So a lot of good players on the wing.
Look, let's get him over. Let's let him play, let him develop, and then bring him on over. Just like Nikishin. That's the big one. That's the big guy next.
Yes, definitely. But another thing too, and I kind of want to end with this, Sam, is if we do have a prospect on our team, and Adam Gold pointed this out, the salary cap might need to be doing some finagling. And one thing I'm going to say, because I really thought about this, I think the Hurricanes really need to put Jesper Foss on LTIR. Then you're good. You're not going to spend that cap. We know Dundon doesn't like spending on rentals. And this team isn't as good as last season. So I don't get the point of accruing cap space if you're not going to use it.
Yeah, no, I don't expect this team to go out and make some kind of big move. They would do a depth move. That's all that there would be down the stretch, like they've done every other year. And to be honest with you, if I'm betting, Carolina makes no moves at the deadline. None.
No, I don't think they do either.
I expect none. The only reason we make moves at the deadline is if we are just somehow out of the playoffs. Completely out of the playoffs. And the only way I see that happening is if our goaltending tandem just bottoms out. Because I think that's what would cause that to happen.
Yeah, it will.
And could that happen? Yeah, it could. And Hurricanes fans need to be prepared for that. because it happened last year. The goaltending fell out. We were slipping in the standings. They figured it out, but this goaltending duo in the past, historically, they can bottom out. And I think if that happens and it doesn't rectify itself, which would be outside of the norm because the goaltending situation has rectified itself in the past, but if it does not, and Anderson and Kochetkov can't get it done, or the injury bug bites and they can't get it done, and we get hurt, and we're stuck with Martin and Peretz, and we bottom out, yeah, this team sells at the deadline, and we accrue capital, and we accrue other players, because at that point, you trade players like Robinson and Jost, right? And you try and get third, fourth, fifth round picks, because you get darts to throw at the dartboard. Maybe you trade you have other players too. Maybe Burns wants to go be a contender somewhere, right?
I was about to say Burns.
So do I think Carolina's in a position to sell at the deadline? No, I really don't. But if things bottom out and it looks like we're going to miss players, we will accrue capital. Don't view this season, if we miss the playoffs, as it was a waste of a year. No, it wasn't, because we accrued a lot, and we have a lot of money to go fix what we need to fix next offseason. And we're going to be in a heck of a spot. And if you get assets out of some of these players at the deadline, then you do. That's really the only thing I want to see, is if Carolina's bottomed out, we're not going to make it, or even if we're close, even if we're on the cusp of the playoffs, I don't know if selling is a bad idea. Like if we're in that second wild card spot, teetering with like 3 or 4 other teams, I don't know. I might consider selling. I would listen. If someone wanted to make me a really good offer for Burns, and they were like, "Here's a first-round draft pick. We want him," I'd be like, "Deal."
Or Orlov. He's on the last year of his contract, and another player too, Jack Roslovic. Only 1-year contract for him. So
So Carolina's got some guys who, if this team bottoms out, you and I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
But it can if the goaltending goes sideways. We saw what happened to New Jersey. The injury bug bit, and the goaltending was trash. That's a team with a roster that should be making playoffs. They did not last year. So if Carolina has the same fate and they miss, and they're missing at the deadline, we have assets that will bring a small fortune back. Orlov, Roslovic, Burns, Robinson, Jost, all of which can be replaced with players from Chicago, right? You can put Owen Sorum back up, Bradley Nadeau, Scott Morrow, Charles Alexis Legault. You have options to replace these guys, and that would be great for them to play the last 20-some games of the season in the NHL, get them a lot of things, right? And again, we talk about this as what ifs. Again, we believe this roster is going to make the playoffs. The only reason it doesn't is if certain things go a specific way, which the way the preseason looked, the way Anderson looked, the way Freddie, the way Kochetkov looked, I cannot see the bottom falling out from under these two guys. But you just don't know. Goaltenders are just not predictable.
No, they're not. But we will see. Again, our next episode is going to be a live stream Friday at 2:30. It is going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. So you're not going to see an episode when you wake up, but you'll have something to look forward to if you want to watch us. That is going to be on YouTube.
Yes.
So we will see you guys Friday.